What does it mean to be a legend? Is it the number of films you make, the fame you accumulate, or is it the void you leave behind, a shadow of what could have been? In the world of kung fu cinema, few stars burned as brightly or as briefly as Alexander Fu Sheng. He wasn't just a fighter on screen, he was a whirlwind of charisma, a boyish prankster who could disarm you with a smile before delivering a knockout blow. He was a superstar in the making, poised to redefine an entire genre. But his story isn't just one of fame and flying kicks. It's a story of incredible talent, a troubled personal life, and a tragic ending so sudden, it left an entire industry in mourning. This is the life and legacy of Alexander Fu Sheng. Alexander Fu Sheng was born Cheng Fusheng on October 20th, 1954, and from the start, his life was one of privilege. He was the ninth of 11 children in a wealthy and influential Hong Kong family. His father was a successful businessman and legislator. The path was set for a life of comfort and status. But Fu Sheng was a square peg in a round hole. He was a rebellious spirit, more interested in the physical poetry of martial arts than the strictures of a classroom. He had a short temper, often getting into fights, and his academic career was, to put it mildly, not his priority. He left school at just 15, a decision that surely worried his distinguished family. He worked briefly in construction, but destiny was about to call. He spotted an ad for the newly formed Shaw Brothers Southern Drama School. It was his escape hatch, his way into a world of glamour and action. He applied, was accepted, and threw himself into his training. This wasn't just an acting school, it was a boot camp for future stars. He studied everything: acting, dance, fencing, even screenwriting. He graduated in 1972, one of the first class of students, and signed a contract with the mighty Shaw Brothers studio. The monthly salary? About 650 Hong Kong dollars. A pittance compared to his family's wealth, but for Fu Sheng, it was priceless. It was freedom. His early roles were small, often uncredited. But in 1973, he caught the eye of the most powerful director at Shaw Brothers, the legendary Chong Che. Chong Che saw something in this young man that no one else did. It wasn't just his athleticism, it was his face. In an era of stoic, stone-faced martial artists, Fu Sheng had a mischievous, almost impish grin. He could be arrogant, playful, and vulnerable, sometimes all in the same scene. He was a real person. His role in Friends was his breakthrough, winning him a Best Newcomer award. More importantly, it cemented his partnership with Chong Che, who became a father figure and his primary director. And then came the role that would define him, Fong Sai-yuk. The legendary Chinese folk hero was brash, incredibly skilled, and trained by his mother. Fu Sheng didn't just play Fong Sai-yuk, he became him. He injected the character with a youthful arrogance and a cheeky charm that made him an instant icon. He portrayed the hero in multiple films, and to this day, many purists consider his the definitive performance. He was no longer just an actor, he was a superstar. He was the face of a new, more relatable kind of martial arts hero, a blueprint for the megastars like Jackie Chan who would follow. But behind the dazzling smile and on-screen success, Fu Sheng's personal life was a complex and often painful story. In 1976, he married Jenny Sang, a famous and beautiful Macau-born singer. To the public, they were the golden couple, the king of kung fu and the queen of cantopop. They collaborated on films, they were photographed at glamorous events. It looked like a fairy tale. The reality was far more complicated. The pressures of fame, constant filming, and perhaps his own restless spirit took their toll. Rumors began to swirl of heavy drinking and infidelity. The arguments became public knowledge. The fairy tale was crumbling. And then there were the accidents. Fu Sheng began to call them his Black Septembers. In September 1978, while filming, he fell and smashed his head into an urn, suffering a severe concussion that caused permanent issues with his speech and vision. A year later, almost to the day, a harness snapped during a stunt, and he fell, shattering his leg. He was in a cast for months. These injuries haunted him. He became superstitious, vowing never to film again during the month of September. The physical pain was matched by the turmoil in his marriage. In a heartbreaking turn, on July 1st, 1983, Alexander Fu Sheng and Jenny Sheng officially filed for divorce. The boy who had everything, family, wealth, fame, a beautiful wife, was now, at 28, facing a very public and painful unraveling. Just days after that divorce filing, on the evening of July 6, 1983, Fu Sheng had dinner at the Clearwater Bay Country Club. He was driven by his brother, Horatio. Fu Sheng wasn't driving. His license had been suspended just a month earlier for reckless driving. As their Porsche 911 sped along the winding Clearwater Bay Road, tragedy struck. Horatio took a curve too fast. The car swerved, smashed into a concrete pole, and flipped. In the horrific impact, Alexander Fu Sheng, who was not wearing a seatbelt, was thrown around the interior. He suffered catastrophic injuries, a broken back, a collapsed chest, and severe internal bleeding. He was rushed to the hospital. Doctors fought for hours, transfusing him with pounds of blood, but the damage was too extensive. The broken back made surgery impossible. The unstoppable internal bleeding continued. At 3:43 a.m. on July 7, 1983, Alexander Fu Sheng was pronounced dead. He was 28 years old. The news sent shockwaves through Asia. The funeral was a massive, public outpouring of grief. Thousands of fans lined the streets. The service was attended by the entire Shaw Brothers family. Run Shaw himself donated a Rolls-Royce Silver Phantom as the hearse. His co-stars, like a young and heartbroken Maggie Cheung, were pallbearers. His wife, Jenny, now his widow just days after their divorce filing, was utterly devastated. His final film, The 8-Diagram Pole Fighter, was unfinished. The script was hastily rewritten, his character vanishing mysteriously halfway through, a haunting metaphor for his own abrupt departure. But we can't let the tragedy define him. His legacy is one of joy and innovation. He brought a human, playful energy to a genre that was taking itself too seriously. He was a pioneer. Director Chong Che said that after Fu Sheng died, he never saw another actor at Shaw Brothers with that same spark. In 2013, on the 30th anniversary of his death, a bronze bust of Alexander Fu Sheng was unveiled at the Martial Art History Museum in California. It immortalizes him not as a victim of tragedy, but as the vibrant, brilliant star he was. His light was extinguished far too soon, but for a few glorious years, Alexander Fu Sheng burned brighter than almost anyone. He remains frozen in time, forever young, forever smiling, forever the Kung Fu prince who stole our hearts. What's your favorite Alexander Fu Sheng memory or movie? Share it in the comments below. If you appreciated this look into his life, please hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into cinematic legends, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching.